down memory lanes.
Well, good morning to all of you, and thank you, Atul, for inviting me today. It's indeed a pleasure to be over here in the midst of all I would say, the ISTDians, the fellow colleagues in ISTD. It has always been a pleasure to be talking to all of you. In fact, the last time when Radharaman had invited me over to Mumbai conference, it was after a long time that I was coming back to an ISTD conference. It's been almost about more than 2 decades that I was really very active in ISTD, and I was attending some of the conferences, national conferences and the regional conferences, etc. But because of several reasons, primarily because of my official kind of responsibilities at IIM Indore and also at NMIMS, I was not just able to really devote as much time as I would have loved to ISTD. Today, I have been bestowed the responsibility of steering the advisory board. And as you know, this is a body of the past presidents, of which Dr. Rajeshwari Narendran and Dr. Yogesh Upadhyay are also the other members over here who are present. We are the past presidents. I have often said that we have lived our glory. We have done what we wanted to do for ISTD. It is now for the younger team to really steer it through. And as and when the younger team needs our advice, we are there for them. Because for us, the society comes really the first. Society is the most critical kind of a reason for us to be over here. Although you asked me to really go back in time and remember and really tell us something, some great kind of things that would have happened in the earlier years, I think one of the most important memory that, or one of the memories that I have cherished is really the chapter level activities, not just in Mumbai, but in various other chapters, including some of the smaller chapters also. Like, for example, apart from Mumbai, where I was really very active, I was a chapter chairman also. And from where I had really come up to be the national president. There are some voices. Atul.
Request everybody to kindly mute.
Would you like to mute? Would you like to mute everybody?
Yeah, request everybody. Yes, kindly go ahead, sir.
So apart from Mumbai chapter, where I was really very active and from where I really emerged at the national level, both as a national council member and then later as a national president. Some of the smaller chapters that really were growing at that point of time, which was actually started almost at the same time that I was the president, was, for example, Udaipur chapter, which really got off to a start. Or for that matter, let us say there was a Pune chapter that was getting off to a start. And the activities in some of these chapters were very interesting. And it really gave us an opportunity to visit these smaller chapters, either in the conferences or the kind of various activities that they were doing. So the chapter level conferences were a very important activity, which really got almost all the ISTD members in that chapter and in the region come together. And not only so, it really helped to bring some of the national speakers to some of the smaller chapters, which otherwise they couldn't have, except for that kind of a reason itself. So that was one kind of a part, which was the chapter level activities. Second was there was a greater degree of fraternity that I remember, even when there may have been differences among us, among the various members and others. But I would believe that there was a greater degree of fraternity, especially at the top or even among all the members. And whenever we would meet, we would really be more as a friend rather than as, let us say, people who were fighting against each other, the elections part of it, not really at a personal level. That was the second big part. The third is the national level conferences.
Right.
And once again, whether this was in Vizag, it was in Baroda, it was in, let's say, in Delhi, or it was anywhere, Mumbai, for example, wherever that was, it really helped us to get some of the good national and international level speakers.
Okay.
So I believe that over a period of time, these kinds of activities really brought members together, the chapter level, the regional level, and the national level conferences. The other part, which interestingly was there, were the chapter level programs. There were a lot of training programs that we were doing at that point of time. The programs, like for example, train the trainer, was a very important kind of a program that we were running. And at the same time, we were also doing some of the advanced training for the trainers also. In addition to that, there was the research that we were continuously doing in the area of training effectiveness, and a lot of contribution that was being made by senior members like Dr. Virmani, Dr. Dharani Sinha, Professor Bhushan, and many others to let us say, the entire growth of training culture in corporates itself. So ISTD was seen as a professional body that was committed to the training and development. And NHRD came much later. But training and development, ISTD emerged as the organization to look for. And that is something that many a time I feel we tend to miss out today. I have been advising this to the president also and to everybody. I think time has come when we have to really look at it at each chapter level, at the regional level, as to what are the kind of training program that you are able to really offer. And that is why, Atul, this initiative of yours is indeed a wonderful kind of an initiative. And I wish that all chapters present over here are able to really take this forward. We from advisory board would always be willing to give you a helping hand. Wherever you may need us, we are there to help you around. So those are some of the memories that I have of the days that have gone by. And we were actually thinking in terms of setting up a National Academy for Training and Development, actually, NATAD, which was where a body was set up, a task force was set up for the purpose of establishing NATAD, consisting of Professor Abad Ahmed, me, Professor Bhushan, and many others who really joined, Udesh Kohli, and many others who really joined that kind of a body. And our purpose was to really strengthen the diploma program. One part was the diploma in training and development, because that's our flagship program. And we don't want to let it go by. No matter what the crisis is at this point of time, I will not get into that. But I'm looking at it as a diploma program which had the Government of India recognition primarily for the purpose of recruitment and career progression of the employees within the Government of India or in the public sector or various other government entities, etc. This recognition gave diploma program a great kind of a push, and we were always looking at it as to how do we really strengthen it now from a intellect, from an IT or from an IP point of view, intellectual property point of view, and also from the point of view of the academic part, and which is where NATAD was really thought about. And we were at that point of time contemplating to reach out to the AICTE at that point of time to create a postgraduate program, essentially in the area of training and development, with a focus on that. But then, for whatever would be the reasons, that really couldn't see the light of the day, even though we had a good director to really take it forward. This is where I really stand.
Very interesting, sir, and given a bird's eye view of probably those glorious days that we have missed and we hope to bring back, and it will happen, sir. Sir, there have been 50 years that have been 53 years that have passed by. Considering that, do you think now ISD requires to reinvent itself either incrementally, or does it have to be totally disruptive? For example, I understand the American Society for Training and Development is now the Association for Talent Development. Earlier days, maybe we must have been probably the premier training organization. Now there are a plethora of them. So your views, sir, on the road ahead, sir?
See, one thing is for sure, that our relationship with ASTD
Right.
should not be allowed to go awry. That is one thing for sure.
Right.
ASTD is also with the IFTD.
Correct.
We have played a very significant role. India has played a very significant role in ASCD and also in FTD. Dr. Udesh Kuri continues to be the Secretary General of IFTDO.
Right.
I have represented in ISTD in the IFTDO conference when I was the president at Taiwan. I think time has come to rejuvenate ourselves. 53 years, we are there. Now, obviously, within this 50 years, any organization would see a significant change in terms of the demographics of the members who are joining the society. Two, is the fact that the competition has increased to ISTD or to any other professional body.
Yes.
Invariably, any professional would ask this question: what do I get to become a member of this body? What is the value increment? Or what is the incremental value that I'm getting by becoming a member of this society? Are you really adding to my intellect? Are you giving me some kind of tools which I can use in my workplace? Are you really, do you have the know-how to steer my training and development initiative or the talent development initiative in my organization? So from a point of view of any professional, young professional today, the question is very simple. What is the value increment that we are really having? I'm going to be getting. It's a fact that it's a world where we are talking about the skilling and reskilling and upskilling. That is one part. So in terms of the reskilling, what is it that we can really do? Because that is one kind of an opportunity where ISTD can really play a very significant role. Now, we may not necessarily have all the expertise today at this point of time in our midst, but I know for sure that through our own kind of a connectivity, we are able to pull in some of those kinds of experts who can really help us create some of those short-term modules, maybe a week's module or a 5-day module, which will help the student candidate or which will help the participant gain skills and the knowledge which is required for the purposes of remaining relevant to this changing world itself.
Right, sir.
So that is an area that I think we need to be really looking at it in terms of skilling, reskilling, and upskilling And this is a very big opportunity, which means that redesigning the entire gamut of the programs itself. And therefore the program portfolio or the program division has to play a very significant role in ISTD. It has to reach out. You have to be far more visible. The other part of it is, and the third big kind of a change that I believe is technology today. Thanks to this technology, we are today talking to each other from all over the country. This is the contribution of technology, which we all know about it. Now the question is, have we in ISTD been able to integrate the technology? And are we able to leverage this technology for the purposes of member services, for the purposes of chapter for the purpose of strengthening the chapters, for the purposes of contributing to the organization itself, and for the purposes of the development of the young professionals?
Great.
It isn't just adequate today to have a website. It isn't just adequate, we all know, to be there on a Zoom platform or on a Microsoft Teams and those kinds of conferences, etc. That isn't adequate. What is really required is, are we able to use this technology to create a 24/7 service model for our own members itself? And that is where, Atul, comes up the part which you said about the talent development. Some of our blogs, a portal of ISTD, which could have essentially a knowledge section wherein members and experts can really contribute their articles, or they can contribute their research that can really help the individual and the organizations, will go a long way in terms of making ISTD more relevant. It is. Talent development is the part, but I think more important today is the skills, the reskilling, and the upskilling part, which is what even the World Economic Forum has also talked about.
Very, very interesting, sir. And thank you for giving us the light, not at the end of the tunnel, but definitely big light for all of us to go forward to. Sir, you have got one major task, sir. Though I know you have to leave, and you had said 11:15 you'll have to leave, but you are the chairman of the advisory board. And the key thing is you have to give us some advice. We have been errant at times, and like a senior and almost like a parent in a sense, though you're quite young, you require to maybe wrap us on our knuckles occasionally. And that's important for all of us in an organization. And we look upon you as somebody whom we can emulate. So, for the next 5 minutes, a piece of your mind to all of us, sir. Some advice, some tips, and also probably a little rap on our knuckles. Over to you, sir. That's your job, sir. Chairman of the advisory board.
Sir, can I add something, sir? Narendran here, sir. Can I add something?
Yes,
Yes, sir. How are you doing?
Sir, fine, sir. Sir, the moment you took over as the chairman, I had lot of hope. And you are in a better position because you have shown that there are pain areas in ISTD today. And now you are in a position, you know everything, what is happening. So, as an chairman of the advisory board, you have got full power to have interference, not interference, to give proper advice with a clear-cut roadmap. Kindly think in that direction. That is my humble request.
And so today we have a team across chapter. You have chapter chairpersons, you have chapter members, managing committee members of chapter. So something for all of us, what you feel. As a general ISTDian, a few guidelines that we should follow to be like what you all was. Over to you.
I think let's look at it. Let me start by saying that advisory board as per the ISTD constitution, is only a conscience keeper. Now, as a conscience keeper, I've asked this question many a time. How do we, I would say, how do we interpret this? How do we actualize it? How do we operationalize? And I haven't been able to get the answers. And clearly, the answers that I was looking for is within the advisory board members, because there are some very distinguished, all past presidents are very distinguished individuals. And I don't have any reason to be doubting anybody for that matter. But there's not been that much operation to how to really operationalize it. I'm of the view today that there has to be a dialogue between advisory board and the National Council of ISTD. Because we are not adversaries. We are not two adversary organizations. We are not two adversary bodies within ISTD. NC is the apex decision-making body of ISTD. And advisory board is really consisting of all the past presidents who have really played their role. Many of them have been at the top level positions. There's a lot of wisdom that exists in advisory board, in as much as it would be existing in NC. So time has come when we need to really pool our minds and look at what is it that we need to be doing. I had at one stage suggested that we need to have a meeting of advisory board and the National Council together. But somehow or the other, it didn't really come through. But I still believe that there is an opportunity there, because the dialogue is really needed. And why I need this dialogue? Let me tell you, as a chairman of advisory board now, I say, why do I need this dialogue? I need this dialogue because I personally believe that ISTD Memorandum of Association and the Constitution need to be revisited at this point of time to be in line with the current scenarios, the world in which we are living in. There's also a need today in the Constitution to bring about what is called the Code of Ethics, which is not there at this point of time. And ISTD should be able to create a kind of a task force within the society, consisting of some of the past presidents and NC members, to debar any member who has violated the ethic code, who has violated the code of ethics. And if it is proven that the member is guilty, then there should be a mechanism to throw the member out, because no professional organization can really grow if dishonest and unethical people continue to be there and come to occupy positions of power. That, unfortunately, is the undoing of ISTD. And we have to come to a point at which, as members, as chapters, we need to ask this question. Should we not now create a code of ethics for our own self? Is there a way by which I can create a self-governing model at the chapter level, which will ensure that such people don't even come to the position of power even at the chapter level? That's number one. That's the first thing to my mind. And which is where I'm wanting this kind of a dialogue with the advisory board and with the OB itself. I personally believe that in the last couple of years, personal egos, dishonesty have been rampant. And that has been the reason that we today in ISTD have the problems of the kind that we are seeing today. It's not just merely during the current president's time period that I'm saying. What she is facing today is also the effect of whatever has been happening around in the last couple of years itself. As professionals, we know that no problem occurs overnight. Invariably, there are roots everywhere around. Many a time, the issues are simmering. And the time comes when suddenly it emerges into a major fire. And today, we in ICD have this major fire. Our secretariat today is a lame duck, I must say that. We have not been able to as yet get an executive director, although I think Yogesh will and RP Singh and others are really working on to get an executive director. And hopefully by the end of February, we should be able to really get somebody already on board, or by early March, we should be able to get the person on board. If we don't have an executive director, if we don't have a diploma program director, if we don't have a program manager, think of a situation wherein your three key positions in the corporate are lying vacant. Right at the top, the managing director position. Next, director of finance or director of marketing, and there's the director of finance, whose position is lying vacant. And then there is the director HR, whose position is lying vacant. Can a company really survive? Can a company really grow? It's a time for us to apply our mind to see and to ensure that once the ED selection happens and the director diploma program is recruited, NC supports that kind of a decision itself, because it is going to go through the selection committee process itself. And I can assure you that my colleagues who are sitting on those selection committees will ensure that fairness in the whole game. And as the chairman of advisory board, I can personally vouch for that I have no reason to distrust any of my colleagues within the advisory board. So time has come when all of us need to really look at what can I do for ISTD, rather than just merely what can ISTD do for me. And therefore, instead of looking for traveling, TADA, those kinds of things, which have today become the norm, I'm told. And people attend the National Council meeting because they get the TADA and they travel, etc. Or they attend some of these conferences, etc., because of these reasons. I think time has come when we need to ask this kind of a question, because we never asked that kind of a question. What is it that ISTD is going to do? Whether ISTD will bear my travel, or whether ISTD is going to be giving me my TADA, or whether I'm going to be getting a hotel accommodation or not. Whether I was the national president, or I was just the chapter chairman, or I was the National Council member. We attended almost everything that was there in ISTD on our own expenses, from our own pocket. We were paying for that. So time has come when we need to be really doing this. So answering you, Narendran, very simply, though it looks very interesting to see, or it looks good to be the chairman of advisory board, but I'm conscious of the fact that advisory board can only advise the society. We can only tell you. Ultimately, it is for you all to take it forward. I was once talking to Rajeshwari about 2 years ago when she was talking to me about the crisis that was happening in ISTD. And she wanted me to be more active in advisory board. And I said, look, advisory board, what is our role? We are like elders in the family. The younger generation would do the way that they would want to do it. We can only say that this is what you should be doing. But if you don't do it, we can't sort of stand there and do it for you. So that is something which has to be there, borne in mind. We don't, as an advisory board, I don't have or a chairman of advisory board, I don't have that kind of authority even to approve, let us say, one expenditure, small expenditure for hosting a meeting. It has to go through the president, and then it has to go through the National Council. Think of this situation. So start looking at it now from this point of view. How do we now streamline the management of ISTD? That is important. Individuals will come and go. This is for sure. Today, it is Dr. Anita Chauhan who is the president. Tomorrow, it could be another person who could be there. Although you may be the president, or Samaseva may be the president, or anybody else may be the president. But the criticality is to rise above this individual part of it. As a body, as members, it is on us to ensure that the society doesn't really fall. That's where I really come to.
Very interesting. And apart from everything else, we can feel both the care, concern, and maybe a touch of anguish too. And the ball is now in our court, a little bit of soul searching. So I think there's been one hand, if it's okay with you, Mr. Radharaman would like to share. Only one question because sir has also got to leave. Yes, Mr. Radharaman.
Unmute, okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Saxena. I heard you in Mumbai. It's good to hear you once again over here. I have 3 observations, comments, or you may want to comment on them. Up to you. Because of the time, I don't want to pressurize you. I feel for a building or a structure to become strong, the foundation must be strong. What I've noticed is at the chapter level, the foundation is becoming weaker and weaker because we are same people managing for years together without any change. No new blood is coming in. Now, even then, at the chapter level where we have 8 MC members, we are not able to come to consensus most of the time. Many chapters are fighting among themselves. How can an NC with 198 plus member be ever coming to take a decision and decides on the viewpoint that you are talking about? Because I've never seen a board so bloated, out of proportion as an ISTD board, which NC member are the board members. So do you think the time has come to do a surgical strike on this number and bring it down? The third aspect is, do you think that time has now come, because you raised a very important point on the TNADA. One, earlier members were not coming to attend the meeting of NC. Then it became a fashion that we give the airfare, so people started coming for attending the meeting. But participation at all these meetings are minimal. There are 3 or 4 or 5 of us probably who kept raising the voice, but the rest of them are silent spectators for whatever reason. I don't want to say.
Right.
So do you think the time has come, one second, to say that those who are going to get elected make a commitment, they will serve this society without any expectation of any TA and a DA, okay? And then only they can stand elected. Does the time has come to take that statement before an election?
Okay, so over to you, and the last question, that was it, because sir has got to go. Then we have...
I have to be very quickly. I have to be very quickly moving away, Atul. But let me very quickly say, rather, and I think this is you are very right, touched on the right point. Something which we have been discussing it in advisory board. A national council of a size of 190 or 150 people is too large and incapable of taking the decision. No such body can ever can really take the decision. We need to create another structure now. We need to, that is where I think the dialogue between the advisory board and the National Council today is really needed, and OB is needed today. And primarily for the purposes of amending the constitution, because unless and until we amend the constitution and look at the NC constitution as to how and what would be the ratio of, let us say, the people or ratio of members, ratio of an NC member vis-a-vis the total number of members in this chapter. We need to really redefine it now. We need to look at it as to how many members can really contribute to one NC members. And we cannot continue to have the same kind of a proportion of representation of people in National Council as we have followed so far. Otherwise, this is going to become another parliament, Indian parliament, which never reaches out to any kind of a decision. So we need to think in terms of creating a smaller body. And this is where the amendments to the Constitution, revitalizing the Constitution, re-looking at the Constitution, almost all the clauses is really necessary. You refer to the second part, that of, let us say, ensuring the members come and attend the meeting. It has to become a part of the code of ethics. It has to become a part of the let us say the conditions of an election. Once you are elected either as an NC member or as a managing committee member, you have to attend an X number of meetings. If you are not able to attend that, then in that case, your membership will cease to exist. You will cease to be the NC or an MC member. That, I think, once we are able to bring that in, and again, this requires a constitutional amendment, because unless and until that kind of an amendment is there, this would be difficult. That is why the code of ethics, the kind of, let's say, the new responsibilities that we need to create, the rights and the obligations both need to be created today in ISTD today. The charter has to be created today. That's where I come to.
Thank you. And though there will be a lot of questions coming, it's great to have somebody who's not just a friend and a philosopher, but even a fatherly figure to all of us. And for you, I know you're on an emotional visit to Delhi. In spite of that, you have been with us. We're extremely privileged, delighted, and honored to have somebody of your repute. And when we look up to ISTD, we look up to people like you, whom we hold in the highest of esteem. And for you sharing time today, for all of us, is wonderful, and we are honored. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Atul. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.